Hey Marco, how you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you, Jim?
Good. It's a pleasure talking to you.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
I'm a writer here, but as I mentioned, I coordinate the Gay and Lesbian Film Festival, and High Tide was our closing night film, and what an amazing screening! And Marco was here. Marco Pagos.
I know all about it. I mean, not only because I'm Marco is my the lead actor in the film, but he's also my husband. And
Exactly.
I was so sorry that I couldn't accept your invitation. I was invited to attend the closing night, but I sadly or fortunately, I was on set with Four Seasons.
That's a great, yeah.
It
Congratulations.
was a great excuse. Come on.
Exactly. Now tell me a little bit about how the series came up for you.
Okay, so there's no other way to really sum it up. I I didn't chase it. I stopped acting almost 16 years ago.
Yeah.
Happily so. I just was spontaneously went into writing, directing. You know, I've been a theater maker all my life,
Yeah.
and then I'm a filmmaker. But in 2023, we got to meet Colman Domingo and his husband Raul. Through events they were promoting. He was promoting Sing Sing. I mean, Raul is a producer on Sing Sing, Coleman's husband, and we were around with High Tide, and we became friends. And we all live in LA, so in those pockets of time that we were all in LA, we were hanging. And one evening, I think this is I learned it after, of course. We invited them home, and I cooked a beautiful Italian meal, and I think that made an impression in Raul's mind, because I didn't know that Coleman was cast in this show. It wasn't announced yet, and but they were looking for a Claude.
Okay.
And on their way home, Raul told Coleman, "What about Marco?" And of course, Coleman says, "Well, Marco is too young, Marco Pigossi, to be Claude." And Raul was like, "No, Calvani, I think he's an actor." So, long story short, Coleman a few days later called me, asked me if I was an actor. Of course, I generally said no,
Hmm.
and then he asked me if I was open to tape. I taped, uh, but I didn't know what it was initially, so I said yes, thinking that it was something easier, because at the beginning it felt, when it came to me, this script, I mean the scripts, the scenes and the project, I was like, holy I mean, like, this is too big for me. I'm not ready. I'm not camera ready. Anyway, I taped, and Tina liked it, and I did a call back with all her team. And seriously, I think 3 weeks after that call, I just got the job, and that's when we started. And my life kind of changed, I have to say.
Congratulations. I am a huge fan of the original film, Carol Burnett, Alan Alda. I'm just curious, how familiar were you with the material?
I'm so sorry to disappoint you. I wasn't at all.
Okay.
And I mean, of course, I'm familiar with Alan Alda and Carl Burnett and Rita
Yeah.
Moreno, but the film success didn't translate as much in Italy. And also, I was born a year before the film came out, and and when I was to watch that movie, I think the attention in my family was completely towards other stuff, so I wasn't familiar at all. And as soon as I got Actually, I think I tried to watch it before taping the audition, but I couldn't find it. And then I got the job, and I wanted to watch it, and it wasn't available anymore. So at some point, I stopped, and I was like, I think this is a sign,
Okay.
and that I had to make my own version of Rita Moreno's character. Uh, anyway, I mean, think about it. All I needed to know was that Tina was writing, that we
Yeah.
had a fantastic team of directors, that Steve Carell was part of this group of legends, that Coleman was my husband. I mean, and then I had to trust the script, but I wasn't familiar at all, and I still haven't watched it.
Yeah. I will say, we started watching this series last night, and I'm very impressed because obviously it plays homage to the original, but it also feels very current and modern. So congratulations to you and Netflix and Tina and everybody because
Yeah, I think they deserve all the credit, especially Tina, Tracy, and Lang. They've done an amazing job in adapting this to modern times, and
yeah.
I'm glad you. Thank you for saying that. I appreciate that.
How tell me about Claude. Do you Do you see a lot of yourself in Claude?
I mean, no, yes and no. There are, of course, things that they're familiar to me.
Yeah,
I tend to, I love to take care of people, and I am very positive when I'm not when I decide to go out in the world and spend my time with people. I am warm. I am positive. If I feel otherwise, I stay home. I stay indoors. I stay by myself. So I carry a lot of energy when I'm out in the world, and I'm happy to share it. So in that sense, I'm like Claude. At the same time, Claude is a little too much. Like, I've learned how to, think twice before speaking. I'm less needy. Um, but I learn how to also privilege the truth of
mhm,
feelings, like Claude does, but in a more pragmatic way, if you may. So there are things here and there of Claude that belongs to me, and that they attracted me, of course, at first to the character. But then I had to make my own peace with others. Like Claude really depends on Danny's relationship. It depends on Danny's presence in his life.
yeah,
You almost have this feeling that if he loses Danny, he loses himself. He loses his own identity. So he
yeah,
cannot afford to lose. And when the element of breaking up, between Nick and Anne, Steve Carell's and Kenny Silver, is brought to the table, that option is suddenly available, and then he's also going through a transformation of his own. He has health issues
yeah,
that will probably change his personality. So that he even heightened even more Claude's anxiety towards it cannot afford to lose. Like, I think I'm more independent, definitely, than
yeah.
Claude.
I was gonna say, I mean, based on what I've seen, it seems like Danny and Claude have a very complex relationship.
Yeah, it's a very complex relationship because also I think there's a huge and solid dose of love and respect
Yeah,
underneath, and passion too, which is something that you don't necessarily see it in the other two couples in the show. So I think because of that, we are allowed to have a more complex also relationship, and which is, it's that they have a lot of fun together,
yeah,
but that doesn't. Um, they still have things to go through together, and ultimately they learn, especially Claude. I think by the end, without spoiling too much, but by the end of the show, Claude will become more independent, will become more is more aware of his behavior in public. There's a lot of fear that inhabit the Claude, the move, the that actually motivate Claude's behavior. Fear of losing, fear of losing Danny, but also fear of not being accepted. I believe being an immigrant also, which is something that of course, I am, and let alone what we're going through historically right now. But in general, being an immigrant, it always makes you feel that you have to that seat at the table, earn the trust of your partners, no matter if they're loving partners or friends or colleagues. And I think that is also a huge part of Claude's personality.
yeah. Um, was there much room for improvisation between you two, or was it pretty carefully scripted?
No, it's carefully scripted. It no, it's true. It's not that we arrived to someone was like, "Don't you dare improvise." We were a team, and everybody was open to hear if we had questions, and we had questions like, "I don't feel, I don't understand this," or "What if I?" So we were, but there was no need to improvise because everything was scripted so
Okay.
well and so meticulously, and it felt real. So I feel like probably I was the only one who was allowed to improvise the most, if improvise is the right word, to add, because, and then I'm thinking about all the Italian words that I use in the show, but also because I was trying to make it's a different language. I'm here speaking in English, but in my mind, I don't even realize anymore. But I'm translating, and I really wanted to play into the musicality of English while keeping the musicality of my Italian.
Yeah,
That was one of the requests, and so in doing so, I felt sometimes that I needed to add an Italian word or another one. So yeah,
great. You obviously have known Coleman for a little bit of time, but what's it like working with him, professionally?
it was amazing. It was amazing, and the fact that we knew each other already, it really helped. Not just my anxiety. When I arrived on set, I was terrified. Terrified in a good way. I was happy to be there, but I remember one of the very first few scenes is in the spring section of the show, and we were all around the table, and it was just me, Steve Carell on one side, Tina Fey, Will Forte, and Colman Domingo. I was like, what the fuck am I doing here? Like, all I could see was like imposter syndrome in neon lights above my head, like a crown. And knowing Coleman made me feel it was the first one from the very get-go that made me feel that reassured me that I had the right to be there. And Tina also, I know that, and everybody else, uh, really made me feel welcome, and we were a team, and
Yeah,
there was no ego. And Coleman, I mean, now I feel I love him even more, not just as a director, as a scene partner. It was fantastic. I felt completely free with him, and also I felt we were really a team approaching the scenes together. Sometimes before shooting, you do lines, and we were like scheming. Like, what if we do here? What do you feel? It was fantastic. But also, he directed episode 6, so I had the privilege of being directed by him. And if you're an actor, that being directed by another actor is the best that can possibly happen.
yeah,
There's a mutual understanding, and and Coleman is a fantastic director too.
yeah,
And it was such a gift, to be able to also learn from him. I'm dying to go back on set
yeah,
behind the camera, and
exactly.
I feel I've learned so much from all my genius partners here at the Fourth Season.
It's such a really awkward, scary time in our country right now. Can you talk about the importance of having this series and and two positive gay characters as part of this?
Well, I just feel so honored that I'm actually be able to portray, as you say, a positive gay character right now.
Mm,
Personally, it means so much to me. I By doing High Tide, I came to the realization that I was actually carrying a lot of homophobia, internalized homophobia within me, and it really started a healing process I wasn't aware of. It's not like I sat down one day and was like, "Well, I'm gonna start writing this movie because I need to heal from this." It's something that I discovered by writing and producing and promoting the film,
yeah,
and then to be able to be invited with my whole body and face and voice to portray a gay character. It felt like personally a wonderful evolution, a gift, a risk, but that I'm ready to take. And this particular time, I think we need this more than ever, and I feel like I'm ready for the challenge. I'm not lying to you, Jim. I'm scared.
yeah.
I'm scared. I'm an immigrant, and I'm basically openly gay. And in 2 weeks, everybody will know, and the whole world. And
Yeah.
there's part of me that I'm scared. At the same time, I feel that I'm very privileged, to be able to have worked with such amazing people, but also to have such a solid work, and to be able to maybe at the borders, if they don't let me in, I call Tina Fey and Netflix and see if they can intervene. So I feel privileged. At the same time, I feel everything can happen, and I truly hope that by portraying this the normalcy
Yeah.
the of a gay relationships, that they go through the same kind of shit that every couple go through.
Yeah.
I really hope that we can attract more humanity towards us people, and that we need it more than ever now.
Yeah,
You know, the good thing about the show, it's very warm, it's very heartfelt, it's for everybody, and it doesn't discriminate. And that's a beautiful lesson, right there.
exactly.
And I hope that people will watch it with an open heart and will be able to connect the dots.
Exactly. I have to ask you about High Tide. What an amazing film. I mean, can you talk about making it and how important that was and working with Marco? I mean, and the film obviously dealt with so many things, immigration and, you know, so much, but it also just felt so personal. Can you just start to talk
Mm.
about the film and work and, you know,
Uh, thank you for asking that. The work of my work as writer director defined me for so long, so I'm very comfortable in talking about that. Uh, well, High Tide, it came to me at a very specific time. It was 2020. I was reflecting. I was gifted with health and time to reflect on things in a different way, and I had never put gay characters at the center of my stories. And I've been a storyteller for 25 years now.
yeah,
Back then, only 20, basically. And it never occurred to me to use my voice and my papers and my pen to give to give stage to my peers or people like me. How silly! And that was the first seed of discovering the internalized homophobia that we were talking about before. So I started to write I Tide, and at that time, there was no industry. There was none of that. There was just the present, and it was a mess. Everything I'd done didn't matter. Everything that was becoming, there was no certainty about that. So I really wrote it for the pleasure of writing it, and it was actually one of the, the first script that I wrote very fast and with a lot of heart. At the same time, I met Marco Pigossi, who became my husband, and I didn't really know that I was actually writing that character for him. That was really art imitating life, and it was a whole set of dance of coincidences and synchronicities, beautiful ones. And it became my first feature film, and I couldn't be prouder of that because it really, it really is a contemplative film,
yeah,
and in that, it's very personal. I spend a lot of time contemplating the reality I live in, of the people I share my reality, and also, but it's it's about a person in a limbo. It's about a person who's trying to become fully himself, and he observes the world that he inhabits. And I just and also, it's a movie, as you said, that speaks a lot. There's so many themes in the movie that the film touches, and those are all themes that are dear to me as a man, but as an artist too. So I'm extremely proud. With all the mistakes and all the problems I had to face, I'm proud to say I made the movie that I really wanted to make. And listen, making a film is a miracle.
yeah.
Making a film with someone you love, like I love my husband, is an amazing, is a blessing. So how can I not be happy if you ask me about High Tide? It's just it's my first baby. It's our first baby. It's just it's a wonderful opportunity, but also a
Yeah.
wonderful moment in my career.
Exactly. Congratulations on the 4 seasons. Congratulations on High Tide. It's been a pleasure talking to you. Thanks for letting us screen your film last year, and we look
Thank
forward
you.
to seeing what you have coming up next.
Thank you. I can't wait to show it to you. Till next.
Thanks so
Thank
much,
you, Jim.
Marco. Nice talking to you.
Yes.